When it comes to your child's health,
You want care that's close, convenient,
and centered around the needs of your family.
At MMC Pediatrics, we're more than just doctors.
We're partners in your parenting journey.
here for every growth spurt,
for every boo-boo,
every fever, and every flu.
Our team approach means that your child always sees someone that knows them.
We are MMC Pediatrics.
We are right beside you.
Every step of the way.
We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at WGNSradio.com. This is The Roundtable, Tennessee Association of Broadcasters Award winner for Best Local Talk Show. A look at the news, views, politics, sports, and people shaping Rutherford County.
Good morning on a Thursday morning. I guess this morning is certainly a lot cooler than what we've had. More rain coming. I wonder, and I'm going to have to find this out, whether that 14-inch rain deficit that we were experiencing a couple of months ago has now been wiped out. We're here with a dear friend, a very, very significant contribution in the community, a man who is in the front line of dealing with issues and problems within human suffering. My dear friend, Mr. John Mitchell, the Executive Director of the American Red Cross. And I like that shirt, that red shirt, but John came roaring into the station right on time this morning, and I'm sure there was a bull that saw that red shirt and said, I'm going to chase that guy. But welcome, John. It's always a pleasure.
Hey, listen, if I can stay just ahead of that bull, I'm doing well.
Like us all. How have you been?
Been doing good. Been doing really good. Had a little bit of vacation time, having a little more vacation time
Did
in
you
front
go
of me.
somewhere?
I stayed here and just kind of worked on projects at the house.
Honey, do this and honey, do that.
Yeah. Well,
Gotcha.
when you're trying to get things done, sometimes you just got to have a concentrated time to, say, I'm going to make sure I stay on this till I get it done.
And to create a home schedule that, you're not going to say, well, I can have a second cup of coffee. I think
Yeah.
I'll get to it about 10 o'clock. I think I'll sleep in. But
Do you have a camera in at my house? I mean, you know me that well.
I think you speak for all of us.
Yeah.
So tell us about the American Red Cross, and there's two areas we want to be talking about. The Red Cross, and certainly a very, very serious issue about stocking and implementing the blood services program, heat safety, and probably have to add to heat safety, water safety, in terms
Yes.
with the rivers and lakes. Water safety is a major factor. So let's deal with blood. That's a funny way to put it on a morning. Let's deal with blood. But people are not contributing as much nationwide, I understand.
No, and kind of a segue from, what we were starting to talk about. The reality of it is the need for blood never goes on vacation, but we do. And a lot of people travel. And so different things like that really impact blood drives. Sometimes there are things that we can see that you can track over time that it's coming. In the month of December, everybody gets really busy, and so January is a catch-up month.
Sure.
And when we get into the summer holiday season and people are busy and traveling, then blood collection, blood appointments drop. And boy, this would be a great time to get a first-time blood donor to come in and give blood. And, one of the things that's really important in blood collection is, once you give blood, you get identified on what your blood type is. So certain blood types are very valuable, more valuable than others. And there's different, for lack of a better term, products in the blood service arena. Whether it's a whole blood collection, that's your normal, I stick my arm out and, I give blood. It might take 15 to, 20 minutes. But then there's another process called, one of the ones you can do downtown at our fixed site at 501 Memorial Boulevard is giving platelets. That's another extremely important blood product, especially for those that maybe have had a burn.
Yes.
And they need that. But in between those two is Power Red, and Power Red does.
So that, excuse me, that's where you got your shirt.
Well, it could
That's
be,
Power Red.
yeah. Well, hey, listen, if I'm wearing red at the Red Cross, I'm in tote, you know. But yeah, Power Red is, and I don't know the inner specifics of this. There's some people with the Red Cross that could really break that down. But it has more value. You spend just a little bit more time on the table, but you only give like 4 times a year. It kind of limits it. But in the health industry, all those products have a different meaning. So if you're somebody that has given blood and you're like, well, okay, it's time for me to give, but it may not be that important. Well, if your blood type is something that we really need, there's added importance to you continuing to give. But what we love to see is first-time blood drivers.
Sure.
First-time blood givers, and once they see it, they or experience it. Nobody will walk in there and saying, "I love the needle." Mm-hmm. Some people it really bothers them. Some people it doesn't. But it's a really quick. Maybe inconvenience that could make a huge difference for somebody else somewhere.
It'd be interesting, and I don't know if it could be done, and I'm always looking at tax write-off. Is there a way that a particular rate could be established for blood, and that is accepted by the Internal Revenue Service as a tax deduction?
Man, that's a really interesting topic. We have a biomed committee.
Yeah,
Scott Furness is the one of the executives over at Ascension St. Thomas. Dr. Russ Galloway serves on that committee, and so I've got some really high-powered community leaders that we may need to, turn that into a conversation piece.
Especially if it's a national issue, and blood itself must have a value that can be articulated, and it's an encouragement. You hate to say that what are the incentives above and beyond being a good citizen for donating blood, but this is not a monetary contribution, but this is a product contribution. Not much difference. I hate to put the analogy of donating clothes or items to a nonprofit charitable, which becomes a deduction.
Yeah, that's a really, really interesting concept. And Bill, I hadn't heard that before, and I'm sure maybe somewhere somebody's
got me inspired, John.
Yeah, well, listen, well, I'm gonna run that up the chain, and it's interesting. One of the things that you need to do is have continual conversation, whether it's with people internally or people like yourself that know a lot about the nonprofit world. And the next great idea is just sitting somewhere that needs to be spoken and acted on. So you never know.
Well, I'll throw you another idea. See, when you got talking, you motivated me to let the old brain power trigger out. If the restaurants in Rutherford County, or specifically in the Murfreesboro, Smyrna area, gave a small, and I'll use the term small, discount if you bring in a coupon from the Red Cross that I donated blood and we're giving you a $10 off your meal, for donation for 2 meals, let's say, you bring another person in, we will give you a credit, might call it blood month, if you may, or a particular time period of contribution, especially like the summertime. So, when your period is rather lower in contribution of blood, and you come into the restaurant and you bring in a Red Cross certificate of giving, and guess what? $10 or $5, some small amount, but an amount to make it, wow, just giving blood in 20, 25 minutes. Gee, I'm getting $5 off my breakfast or what have you.
Oh, boy, that is an excellent idea. As a matter of fact, we're going to be introducing something this year with our philanthropy committee. That's a program called Dine for Disaster. So similar concept that we're going to work with organizations that they say can support our overall programming and give them some elevated social media presence during a month. March is Red Cross month.
Oh,
and,
sure.
Do that. So it's actually really great that you mentioned that, because that could be an add-on. And here's why that makes that very doable. If you give blood, what you really need to do is download the Red Cross Blood app. And then when you do that, of course, it's going to store and tell you what blood type you are. It's going to remind you of your appointments and give you the opportunity to stay on track. It's going to show you where your blood went. It'll give you a reminder or a text saying, thank you for giving blood. Your blood has arrived at XYZ location and is helping people in this area.
Sure.
Which is really kind of a neat thing. And then it also tracks your health history. So, of course, when you're there, you're getting your blood pressure and different things that your doctor would want to see. Once a year, you're going to get your hemoglobin. Is that right? Is that the blood sugar process? So now you'll have a chart if you have the blood donor app, the Red Cross app, that you can go into your doctor's office and say, here's a trend over the last few years of my blood pressure, my blood sugar, and different aspects. So it's a really valuable tool. And to your point, that would be something that would make it easy for a restaurant to say, show me what you've given, and there it is.
Wow. You may even want to talk to a regular visitor with us on the round table, who's the executive director of downtown Murfreesboro.
Oh, Sarah, my friend.
Calendar,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And see if that would be a joint venture with the restaurant activity in downtown, which, I mean, that's a major part of their promotion. And this, A, brings people down to the restaurant, and B, certainly provides assistance to the Red Cross.
Sarah's a good friend of mine. We worked together at the Boy Scouts years ago.
Oh, okay.
And Sarah she's a treasure for us to have, because what we've done in the downtown area and the energy she puts behind that is great. So it was on my calendar, to-do list, if you will, to talk to her about Dying for Disaster and the downtown area. So, Sarah, I know you're listening, so I'm getting ready to call you, and I'm going to set up a time for us to chat. So, Murfreesboro is such a special place. We got so many great community leaders that can really take a program and elevate it, and she's definitely done that.
And you may talk in joint effort with the mayor of Smyrna, Mary Esther, and see how Smyrna in itself can be involved. And, you know, it's not just another contribution. It's not just another charity. You're talking about life-saving, and you're talking about life-saving on a large scale. And if it's a large scale and so forth, boy, what a contribution. So what else do we need to know about blood?
Well, you know, setting up a blood drive is key, and giving blood is key. But to do that, you have to have community partners. And you know what? I could start right off with one of the community partners that's making a great impact, and it's right here where I'm sitting. It's WGNS. You guys do an unbelievable job keeping that message of giving blood front and center to everybody with commercials and radio station programs like we're doing today. So I don't want to get past thanking WGNS for being a mouthpiece for the need for giving blood. But then beyond that, then you have churches or organizations or MTSU as a example that are partners and help set up the blood drive. And you know, one comes to mind is you mentioned Smyrna and Mary Esther Reed. One of the ladies that served on our committee for many years is Jenny Williams. Used to run Ace Hardware Gills in Gillsville, and she sold it. And she puts all of that extra time into nonprofit work and a lot with us. But she does one at the Catholic Church in Smyrna, and let me see, I've got a long list, and that's actually a good situation. Is the list is so long I have to kind of find it, but okay, St. Luke's Catholic Church, they've had 6 drives in the last year.
Wow.
And we talk fiscal year, end of June, and they've collected 231 units of blood through that.
Fantastic.
So that just makes a huge difference if we can continue to identify organizations that will do a blood drive and work with us. We've got the team that can come out there and set it up, and we got all that lined up. We just need not only the location, but we need somebody within that organization to become what we call a blood program lead.
Mm-hmm.
And they can take ownership of promoting those blood drives. And, if we can get a blood drive between, 20 and 50, that's got a good return on investment as far as moving our staff. And, a couple other highlights. Here's an interesting one. Middle Tennessee State University, 19 blood drives on the campus at MTSU, and 695 units collected.
Wow.
400 of those happened during the blood challenge, if you will, between MTSU and WKU in a 3-day span.
Mm-hmm. That's an annual event.
That's been going on for quite some time.
Yep.
So, again, that's the other message I would like to get out is if you're an organization and you want to give back in a bigger way, if you can become a partner with the Red Cross and sponsor a blood drive, we would love to get with you, get someone on your staff. I think this is the key, is to get someone on your staff trained up to be a blood program lead. We've got valuable tools. Somebody can walk around with a tablet. Sometimes at churches, what Jenny will do is she's always got her tablet handy, and if she's walking around and talking to people, say, hey, I was wanting to give blood, she pulls that tablet out and schedules them right there and keeps it very productive.
Thinking of another possibility, you've got my creative juices working this morning. Both MTSU and Motlow in Smyrna, many of the students are on the state HOPE grants and assisted financial, and they are responsible to do community service. If there was a criteria that a young student was able to contribute blood as a credit toward that community service in accordance with the financial aid that they're receiving, I think you would receive a number of participations from students above and beyond your current events at MTSU or at Motlow.
Yeah, I was glad you mentioned that. I got to looking it up. So we do have one drive at Motlow, and there was 27 units collected, which is a successful blood drive. But yeah, we can continue to grow on that. I know Jenny Williams, again, is all things Smyrna. So when you mentioned Mary Esther Reed, that's what triggered that. And
sure,
she's been wanting to get on the campus and do more. She's probably one of the bigger advocates for all things Smyrna that you can find. Mary Esther Reed is too. When you see her on the TV or social media, she's a great champion. We've got Murfreesboro is special, but Smyrna is a special place, and so we need to continue to cultivate and work with all the great partners we have there.
We're going to have Mary Esther return. She's a regular with us, and with HG, and I think a third member in the last Thursday of August. And they're going to be talking about the rich history of Smyrna, above and beyond what people take for granted or have as base information. So maybe there's a blood history of Smyrna.
Yeah, and then with the Red Cross, if it could be blood and it could be disaster relief, it could be preparedness programs. So we get a chance to kind of walk into a place and talk about, what is your passion? What do you want to get behind? And we can start with blood, but we may end up with CPR training. We could end up with, smoke alarm installs in your community. We did meet with Mary Esther Reed about 1.5 years and did a very successful free smoke alarm install event in Smyrna. Worked with the fire department there, and that was really special. So you're mentioning people that we've been working with and we need
Excellent.
to continue to work with.
You mentioned just a second ago disaster relief. Of course, I go back to the fires in eastern Tennessee a few years. Floods. I'm sorry, the floods in eastern Tennessee and how active you all were. But I don't know how many of the public is mindful of the amount of disasters that do occur in an area, primarily a fire, a house or an apartment building burned out, and where the Red Cross comes in. Talk briefly, if you can, about disaster relief and its impact in Rutherford County.
Yeah, so you do hear about the major events, sometimes international and sometimes on a national scale and sometimes regional. That was a regional event that really hit home with our we're considered part of the southeastern Caribbean, and the Hurricane Helene that came up into East Tennessee. So you hear about that, and then it can go away, and you don't hear about it as much.
Out of sight, out of mind.
And what's happening on a very regular basis, of course, we are the American Red Cross, and so we will end up having an impact in helping our friends maybe in the west side of the United States with, forest fires that are happening. But on a very local level, something that is happening, unfortunately, at a very recurring rate is home fires.
Yes.
And so now sometimes we'll have these straight line winds that'll just pop up one night. And I was working with a client that straight line winds popped up and a tree fell on their trailer, and we responded and helped give them some money to keep moving, and then we open up a case, if you will, to just realign them with all the resources in the community that we can to get them back on track. But that fire response is key, and I've seen different. You can definitely say in a very rough numbers that we're responding to something once a day when you average all the house fires.
Wow.
Unfortunately, those seasons can change because when, of course, the weather gets a little cooler and people start using their space heaters and different things, that adds to it. So you couldn't really say it's once a day, but on average, you can say that.
I'm assuming you were very much involved during a few months ago the ice storm.
Oh, yes.
And the amount of people without power, the amount of people where trees may have fallen on the buildings,
yes,
and so forth.
And, there's a great story in that. It's all about relationships and partnerships and community working together. And in the next year or so, I'll be talking a lot about community mobilization, and that's our focused effort on making sure that we are having those conversations with all the agencies and how we can work together and how we can be very resilient as a community. But we had a good example of that happen during the ice storm. Chris Clark is our emergency management professional in Rutherford County, does a great job. The in-town suites right next to the Salvation Army, all the power shut down.
Wow.
That's a lot of people.
Yes, it is.
And because we had talked with different people at different times, we knew our friends over at the Salvation Army. And Chris knew them. And within a very short span of them trying to figure out where are we going to take these people that are dislocated during a cold season, it says, let's do the shelter at the Salvation Army in their gym. The Red Cross has trained shelter team members that can come over. And it was just a really good example of how we want to operate moving forward. One of the really unique things about that was, in this case, the clients that we were serving actually walked to the street.
Oh, sure.
Or, and into the shelter. And so that ice storm was something that we never know when we're going to be able to respond. We can see trends and say, okay, we're not really in this season or that season, or the need for shelters may not be great. Well, we had a bigger need for shelters in that time in the Tennessee region than we had needed in a long time.
Wow.
We had a big operation up at the fairgrounds in Nashville, and it just put a lot of people in a desperate situation. And again, working with the local governments, we're not a government agency. A lot of people think we are.
No tax contribution.
So we just, but we stay close to the government agencies. We're what you call a government instrumentality.
Would you be part of a process that an emergency breaks out, first responders respond, and they initially contact the Red Cross as one of the first resources to be on board to assist?
Definitely so, and you
assist the
can see
people?
that in the local home fire. Once the response, if you pull back the layers, this is how it could work. And now I'm kind of giving a little plug for volunteers. What could you do as a volunteer for the Red Cross? So, for instance, if a home fire is happening, we get notified, and we have a volunteer position called a duty officer. And they are to be there to respond, and then they may get a call or whatever, but they verify the situation. This is legit. We know where their address is, and then once that is, been verified, then they call volunteers again that are considered DAT members, disaster action team members, that are ready to go on the scene. So while the firefighters are taking care of the home and doing what they do, our volunteers show up with a little bit of hope, a little bit of care, maybe a blanket, and more importantly, those people may have just been displaced and don't know what their next step is, and they receive emergency financial assistance that night.
Well, one of the key things that has come back to me on numerous occasions, and I think it's certainly worth mentioning, it's not just the volunteer, the man or woman who is there to hand out food or there to provide a blanket. You have developed a core of volunteers that have a certain spirit and heart, that they relate to the victim, and they bring a psychological positiveness of support to the victim. And
Very much
I think
so.
that is key. Talk about volunteerism. Talk about what you're looking for. A man or woman, no matter what age, what demographic, what background, and what is in store for them. I can't even say what do they get out of it besides service to other human beings, but kind of describe a volunteer, the excellent ones, the process for volunteering, and the process once somebody, quote, signs the line, what their steps are.
Yeah, and just the process can be as easy as 1-800-RED CROSS or redcross.org. That sounds very distant from a local scenario, but once you identify and show your zip code, we here at the chapter get notified to follow up. But, here's a couple of takeaways that I think our volunteers get, and we don't always talk about, but everybody wants to be part of a community, maybe a family. And our Red Cross volunteers, they're like family to us. So we have meetings and we get together and, we enjoy our company. We enjoy the spirit of giving back. And so, one, you can feel the fulfillment of helping somebody in their greatest time of need. But two, you can also look to be joining a community of like-minded people that are really giving back, and I think that's one of the things that I see our volunteers seem to enjoy is, and the other one is empowerment. We at the Red Cross, 90% of everything we do is through volunteers.
Sure.
So once you go into some of the training, you're entrusted with the one that night. Unfortunately, it could be 10 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock in the morning. You're empowered to give them financial assistance, so they, for lack of better terms, have the purse strings. So, that's the key. Now, we are watching trends, Bill, and we know the younger generation looks at volunteering in a different lens, maybe, and so we are creating a space for event-based volunteers, people that say, I know a little bit about it. Let me just get into the Red Cross, and you guys call me when you need me for a big event like a smoke alarm install.
Sure. Sure.
But what we'll never get away from is always attracting and maybe encouraging and training some to take that next step into taking ownership of our core program, which is responding to disasters.
Let me give you one more idea, if you don't mind. Grief and sorrow when someone loses a loved one. And there's a lot of grief counseling, and so forth and so on. Perhaps for a number of people, those who are going through grief, the loss of a loved one, to suddenly put their energies and mind and activity toward assisting others through serving as a volunteer might be a excellent motivation. Not only takes your mind off, but even the fact that you're donating, you're volunteering your time in the memory of a certain individual.
Amen. Yeah.
That may just be kind of another hook, if you may, for
it is, and that's our spiritual care team.
Yes.
And so we do have a spiritual care team that is specifically there knowing that when people experience trauma, unfortunately sometimes loss, that you don't just walk in that night, give them some money and say, hope everything's fine. So once a case is open, our spiritual care team will come in and meet with them and counsel with them. And again, they will do that on the interim, but then they'll also help guide them to other resources that are around. There's a really special volunteer that lives over in White County, and she does this at a high level, and we're going to have her come and talk to some ladies, because that's a very compelling thing that people don't know that we do. Is it's meeting people where they are, even in their emotional needs, and saying, we're here for you,
right,
and we're going to help guide you through this.
A pat on the back and a hug go a long way.
Yeah. Very fun. You know, you've been in nonprofit world, so you're mentioning things, but you're actually kind of teeing me up to talk about all the different volunteer opportunities. We mentioned DAT, the duty officer that helps field the calls, but then spiritual care, then also health care. You can imagine if somebody has a home fire and they have some medicine they need it now.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
So then we have a network of nurses that can make those special calls in the middle of the night and find that 24-hour pharmacy and get them what they need so they don't get off with some critical
We
medicine.
mentioned fire. Does this also relate experience-wise to flooding?
Well, sure. And, you know, unfortunately, the East Tennessee floods, or Hurricane Helene, I did go out there for 2 weeks and serve in what we call a disaster response, you know, when you actually go to that area for a focused amount of time. But the needs are great. And, you know, the spiritual care, you know, kind of kicks in. That they're dealing with just tremendous loss, and you know their place was sitting there one day and it's washed down the river the next,
down to another state.
But again, one of the things that we're going to continue to improve on in a focused effort is community mobilization, because we know that we can show up and we can do that, but how silly would it be for us to think that we're going to come into a community, you know, there's some local volunteers there, but we're going to infuse that area with Red Cross volunteers from everywhere and think we know that community better than them. We're going to do a better job of empowering those local volunteers to have some of our resources and tools to say, I know you're coming, but hey, you've got the keys to our shelter trailer. Go ahead and start. We're bringing teams that know what they do from different states, but let's not hold the
back for a process.
Yeah.
We're visiting this morning, this beautiful Thursday morning, with Mr. John Mitchell, and John is the executive director of the American Red Cross. How many years?
It's 4 years. I was with the Red Cross close to 3 years for a while, and then, as you know, I was at the Salvation Army for a while.
And Boy Scouts.
And Boy Scouts and MTSU. So I've been in the nonprofit. I've been blessed. I've been in the nonprofit
within
world
our area. We'll be right back after these words from those folks that help the station.
When it comes to your child's health,
You want care that's close, convenient.
And centered around the needs of your family.
At MMC Pediatrics, we're more than just doctors.
We're partners in your parenting journey.
Here for every growth spurt,
for every boo-boo,
every fever, and every flu.
Our team approach means that your child always sees someone that knows them.
We are MMC Pediatrics.
We are right beside you.
Every step of the way.
Yeah, I'll be right there.
It takes all of us to power a community, both in plain sight and behind the scenes. Middle Tennessee Electric, bringing good energy.
What's the location of your emergency? I think my kid OD'd.
Hi, I'm Craig Harris. I'm County Commissioner of Rutherford County. One of the reasons I ran for office is because I wanted to bring awareness to the opioid epidemic that's impacting our county. To stop providing this epidemic with people that we educate. We have a lot to do, and we have to come together as a community because this problem's not going away.
"34 years. That's how long Marcia Blackburn has been in politics. She ran for Congress, State Senate, Congress 8 more times, U.S. Senate twice. I voted for her, and I bet you did too. Now Marcia Blackburn wants to end her career as governor. We all owe Marcia our sincere thanks for her service, but we don't owe her the governor's office.
John Rose.
It's not a reward, it's a tough job for a tough, conservative CEO. I'm John Rose. Like President Trump and previous Tennessee governors, I'm a CEO. I grew 2 great technology companies. I created jobs. I made a payroll and made tough decisions. To run our state, we need someone who's run a business, not just someone who's run for office. I'm John Rose, and I'm applying to do the job.
For Governor, John Rose. Keep Tennessee, Tennessee. Paid for by Rose for Tennessee. Jeff Aiken, Treasurer.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by the law offices of John Day and AmeriCare Pest Control.
This is a paid legal ad.
I'm Attorney John Day. My wife Joy and I love dogs and have one of our own. But we've also helped people who have been injured by dog bites and dog attacks, as well as bicyclists who crashed after a dog attack. You need to know that the dog owner may have insurance to help pay medical bills and other expenses because of a dog attack. If your loved one has been injured by a dog, call the law offices of John Day for a free consultation.
Now, Good Neighbor Events. Here's Bart Walker.
Starting this weekend at the Art Center of Cannon County in neighboring Woodbury, 12 Angry Jurors. That's this weekend through July 19th. And the Art Center of Cannon County is at 1424 John Bragg Highway in neighboring Woodbury. Hey, would you like to learn more about this community? You need to head over to the one-room Ransom Schoolhouse this Saturday, anytime between 9 in the morning and noon. Just drop in. Members of the Rutherford County Historical Society will be there, answering your questions and talking about local history. Don't miss it. Just drop in 9 until noon this Saturday, and it's all free. Ransom Schoolhouse is at 717 North Academy Street, here in Murfreesboro. Maybe you have a new computer, or perhaps you've added a new program. Our local Rutherford County Library System is offering free computer classes, and they're available at the Tech Center. That's right, the Technology Engagement Center. It's at 306 Minerva Drive here in Murfreesboro. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
A flood watch begins at 1 p.m. this afternoon. Chance for storms today, otherwise a blend of clouds and sun. Highs around 91. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS. Currently 74.
WGNS is powered by Middle Tennessee Electric, who remind us that better communication leads to better service. Keep your contact info current at mte.com so you never miss an update on billing or local outages.
Ascension St. Thomas Heart is the leader in Middle Tennessee for heart care, providing the most advanced options, including heart surgery and transplants. Our nationally recognized cardiac team cares for more adult hearts than anyone in the state, from AFib to heart failure, using minimally invasive options when possible to help shorten recovery, making Ascension St. Thomas Heart your first choice for routine heart care and cardiac emergencies. Schedule a heart screening or find a cardiologist at ascension.org/St. Thomas Heart.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
Bill Krause again, the second segment of the WGNS Radio Roundtable on a beautiful, beautiful Thursday morning. Hope you all had a safe and certainly a blessed 4th of July on our 250th anniversary of this great, great country. We're visiting with a dear friend and certainly a major player in the well-being of our area, Mr. John Mitchell, Executive Director. I ask you all the time, you're with us, and I think it certainly goes without saying, and you made some reference to it. Talk about the history of John Mitchell. And it isn't just a resume of nonprofits primarily in the Middle Tennessee area, but where you started, where you were schooled, life itself, because you are a very special part of this social network in our area.
Oh, thank you for those kind words, Bill. And I feel blessed. I was born and raised in Northwest Indiana. So the secret's out. I'm a dislocated Yankee. You know, there's a few of us. A Hoosier. My dad was from East Kentucky, and my mom's from West Tennessee originally, and so spent a lot of time visiting the South, and always knew I would live in the South, and went to school at Cumberland College in East Kentucky, not Cumberland over in Lebanon.
Yep.
And had a great experience there, and my wife at the time got a opportunity to come and get her master's at MTSU, and so here I am in Murfreesboro back in 1989. But it's been one of the best opportunities for me to get into a new community and learn it and work different things. And over time, I have been blessed to work in the nonprofit world, whether it be with the Boy Scouts of America for years, MTSU as a fundraiser for the Jones College of Business, the Red Cross, Salvation Army, and now back with the Red Cross. And I say blessed because it feeds my soul as far as what I want to do. And what I also love to do is collaborate. And so I do happen to know a lot of the different players in the nonprofit field. And so I just love it when we can find a time to work together and help each other and maybe pass some information along to assist each other. And I was talking with Ann Davis yesterday, and I'll go ahead and say this. Ann Davis will be honored as the 2027 Heroes honoree at our annual Heroes Lunch.
Wow.
And if for those of you all that don't know Ann, she works at the Christy Houston Foundation.
How many years? She's been there a long time.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to kind of stab out there at 6 or 7 years, but I could be close or could be off. But before that, she was at the Foundation Hospital. But when you talk to someone like Ann, you just see that Murfreesboro is a special place, that there's some really unique nonprofits that start up and get supported to help people. So there's a lot of like-minded people saying, okay, here's a need in the community. How can we fit that? And the government, you know, can play a role in assisting people, but the nonprofit world is uniquely set up to get in there and attack things a little quicker, a little more personal, and that's why it's really special. But I just want people to know that if you're living in Murfreesboro, Middle Tennessee, you have a lot of really great professionals that are in the nonprofit world that are working every day to make our community better.
Let's talk about, related to that, if you were attending one of the classes I teach at various schools within Middle Tennessee, what would you tell a young man or a young woman? What is really so special above and beyond just service for a person today, a person who's looking at career, person who's looking for a professional journey, to be involved in the nonprofit, specifically service area to others?
Yeah, and that could be as a profession, as I have, but there's also the opportunity to do volunteer work on the board level. So we talked a little bit about the volunteers that are boots on the ground, but I have a board of 17 members. They're community leaders, and part of their job has them out in the community, working to know, who's the new people coming in and who's the up and comers and who's wanting to get involved. But that's a great way for a young professional to say is, I want to look for a nonprofit that I'm really passionate about and serve on their board. And you can have a real great collaboration of spirits, if you will, on not only helping that organization, but let's face it, there's synergy in meeting people. So you're helping your business life at the same time.
Your personal life. You're making new friends.
Making new friends, expanding your horizon. There's just a lot of power of hearing, hey, we did this. And so, that's another thing to consider. But if you're a young professional coming up, look for the nonprofit that values you and go talk to their director and see at what level you can help them move the ball, whether it be with fundraising, volunteer recruitment, program development. And I think you'll find that it'll be a really successful collaboration early in your career.
Share with us the actual service area of the American Red Cross of which you manage.
So the Heart of Tennessee chapter, of course, is locally, run right in our office here at 501 Memorial Boulevard, which is also the fixed site for giving blood. But through that office, we actually serve 16 counties.
Wow.
And that's going up from the state line of Kentucky to the state line below us to Alabama. But, Clay and Pickett, Putnam, White, Warren, DeKalb, Rutherford, keep going down with the Coffee, all the way down to Franklin and Lincoln counties. And so, again, we may be the nucleus of where the operations are, but our Red Cross volunteers are spread out through all those communities and are ready to adapt and respond locally to those home fires, or maybe do the local free smoke alarm installs. So it can be a little bit challenging, but we have some great tools in modern day, whether it's virtual meetings. We do have a fleet of cars, not really big, but we can, jump in a car and go do a day down in Lincoln County and just go visit with people, that may want to sponsor a blood drive, may want to set up a shelter team at their church. And so we're constantly out in the community, not just here in Rutherford County and those 16 counties.
I can't talk about the Red Cross without having you share about heat safety. And we've just come off some awfully hot and warm days, both heat and water safety. I mean, the amount of people that are boating or swimming in our rivers and lakes, we have a need, more than a need, a priority to emphasize education of how to be safe in the water or safe in the heat.
Yeah, thank you for bringing those two up in conjunction with each other. Let me talk a little bit about the water safety. I had a radio session here with Brian not long ago, and I mentioned Longfellow whale tails.
Wow.
If you Google Longfellow whale tails, that is a deep dive into water safety that is a Red Cross program that's free. You can just get on and Google it, and you can pull up resources and little activity books and all these things to start with awareness that could be in the home, and all the way up to somebody signing up for swim lessons, which would be the ultimate key. And unfortunately, the African American community and the Hispanic community has a higher rate of deaths in water safety. So those programs are available. So everything that you would want to see in English is also in Spanish. And so the cartoons. So I would encourage anybody, if you're at a church and you have a focus group that is reaching the Hispanic community, you can come to us and we can help you. But I mean, it is right there. It's free to everybody. Longfellow, Whale Tales. It's kind of a fun, interactive water safety awareness program that can really help. The parents can do certain activities in their home. So that's one thing for water safety. But then you do move over to the heat component, and if anybody's watching the national news and all that, it's on there. But people don't really think about it. But heat, extreme heat is one of the is a very deadly weather-related hazard. In the United States, and you really need to stop and go, okay, I'm thinking in a different time frame right now. Different things that you want to do is remember, there's 3 key actions. Stay hydrated, stay cool, stay connected. And then you have the vulnerable population, older adults, young children, pregnant women, people with chronic medical conditions. It's a greater need. Outdoor workers, they need to take extra precautions to make sure that they're hydrated or getting those type of breaks, or paying attention to your body, because your body will send signals. But of course, the big one that we see, and you never want to be on the back side of this, is never leaving children or pets in a parked car.
Right.
And we're a busy world.
Oh, absolutely.
And so it's
challenging world.
Yeah, challenging world. And so you have to just stop and think and say, oh, we are in that season. This is extreme heat. Men have this macho kind of persona that they try to pull off, and you need to set that aside and say, no, I need to kind of do a little research and make sure I'm doing all the right things, and staying hydrated is key. And I'm not so sure, I haven't caught myself drinking more Diet Mountain Dew than I have water here lately.
And that doesn't do the trick.
And that's kind of working against the key. I even Googled it once and said, how much does Diet Dew equate to drinking water? It's like, no, John, you just need to make sure you get your water intake and minimize the caffeine that could be working, against you.
Now, this is not a Red Cross function, but, I saw very little of anything in the news recently about people getting their electric bill, the more recent electric bill, having to survive and live through the extensive heat we just had last month. So the query is the affordability of air conditioning or fans in a significant time. And does a person on very fixed income, including a senior, start cutting back on how they cool it down in order to still survive, but try to reduce their utility bills?
Yeah, and that's where as a community we need to, come together and stop thinking, who could that be? Could that be my neighbor? And maybe they need a respite center. Maybe it's your house. If it gets, I do know that I worked over at the Salvation Army, and since they did do sheltering on a different level, we do it more on a disaster-related level. They'll have a cooling station. Like if you are part of that population out in the streets of Murfreesboro and you need a place to come, you can come here and there'll be water and a place to get out of the heat. But I think we can also do that as neighbors and people to say, let's look at that vulnerable population. Let's check in with them and see what they're dealing with, because, as you say, finances and different things like that play a role in how they can stay safe.
When I was affiliated some time ago with the coalition HARC on the homeless, I always remember saying we're very successful with a cold patrol in the wintertime, that whenever the temperature goes below 32 degrees, be sure that people are sheltered or protected. And I always was talking about the need for a hot patrol as well.
Yeah.
Dealing in the same way when the heat goes above 90 degrees, for example.
I think you're right. I think it's there, but I don't think as much focus has went on making sure that that can ramp up in a bigger way when needed. If I was being creative and I knew that there was an existence, I think I'd say, let's go to the mall.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's get it off the streets and let's find, a ready to go respite spot. But yeah, it's about creating awareness and using your resources, and then maybe, as you said, Bill, challenge your community. Say, hey, we need something to address this, because when it comes up, you don't really have time to create a whole program. But
priority,
we need,
yep.
Yeah.
We've been visiting this morning, this beautiful Thursday morning, with Mr. John Mitchell. John, who has been the executive director of the American Red Cross, serving, 16 counties, did you say?
16 counties, yeah.
Wow. And serving them well. And one more time, give a phone number or an email or a access for people who want to volunteer, or even people who want to contribute to this most worthwhile community endeavor, the American Red Cross.
Well, you can always come visit us at 501 Memorial Boulevard. That is the Red Cross Donation Center, and it is headquarters for our disaster services. I'll go ahead and give out my personal work phone, because I welcome a call to help engage or see how we can assist you, and that's 615-651-3405.
One more time for the public who has to write it down.
615-651-3405. And something that may be easier to remember on the run is 1-800-RED-CROSS or redcross.org.
That's easy.
And that's pretty easy. But I will say there is a little bit of a trick when you're wanting to give blood. It's a little different if you put in redcrossblood.org. You will immediately see what blood drives are happening